This one, you know, okay, so to show how silly I am, I couldn't find my mug, so I've had to default to my other one, which is one that my brother got me, one of them, who is a police officer, and it says it's kind of his thought when his subordinates come to him with nonsense problems, and it says, "Mind if I finish my coffee before I start waiting on you hand and foot?" So, anyways, yeah, I don't know. Again, it's not like I live in a terribly big place, and I remember putting it away somewhere, and I can't find my little Honking For Freedom mug. So I will find it, and but it is what it is, and that's part of the reason. And then once I realized, okay, I got to do this, then I had to do the Instagram / Chinese Communist Party post, which is TikTok. On the burner phone, and yeah, that's my morning. So we'll see. Well, everybody starts to pile in here, get a little organized as well. Good morning, Beth. Good morning, Prairie Sun. And let's find the comments box here. You can tell I've been away for a few days. Good morning, Megan. How are you? It's been and a good morning to everybody who's here, who's watching silently. For those of you who are watching on behalf of the government or my adversaries, I wish you a good morning as well. And say hi to Prime Minister Blackface for me and that other psychopath that we saw on the stand yesterday, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. It's been, for me, it's been a little bit of a crazy week. So for those of you who saw on my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, I was down in Providence. And I got held back a little bit, which was annoying, but it is what it is. That's the nature of trucking. Like, I've got things down pat pretty much that I can get out of here on weeks where it's really busy. I kind of schedule everything. I get out of here and go down to the States, drop, do a switch or a load somewhere else in another city, and head back. That's kind of what I try to do, but there's often times where I'm 2 or 3 days, or I'll have to, other things happen, right? But this week I was trying to do that. But anyways, Sonia, you're ahead of me. Hashtag, how many tanks? Tell me that's not the funniest clown show stuff you've seen in a long time. For those of you who are not on Twitter is fun again, thanks to Elon Musk. So I think we're all relaxed. Oh my God. Oh my. All right. I wish I could show you what we're seeing. One of you on Locals just posted this meme of the tanks of it's Marco, he's really a fucking airhead, isn't he? Like, the guy's got shit for brains. How that guy became a prosecutor, I have no idea. But anyways, it says relax, Bo, just joking around. It has I'm gonna post this when I'm done. This is too good not to share online. So yeah, the hashtag how many tanks has got to be some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely great. And I'm going to explain that in a couple of minutes for those of you who don't know. Some of you, I'm sure most of you do, but it's just funny to talk about. Yeah, it's crazy to say. Yeah, they're just joking around. They're having parliamentary, communications about what to do about a protest, and they're clearly very serious about tanks because I honestly have no idea how else to say this without profanity, so I apologize. But they're fucking airheads. Like, they're the dumbest people in the world. Like, they really are dumb people. Like, it's shocking what's happened to our political class, our leaders. Like, they're so horrible in every possible way. Anyways, but the reason we can laugh about it is because we know this is the noise in the world, right? Like, we're not going to, at least for me, I'm not going to let that affect my day-to-day being and, stress me out. I got enough stuff in my daily life to worry about other than a bunch of airheads who should be nowhere near power making really stupid decisions. And I mean, this whole commission is so weighted in their favor, and they still shoot themselves in the foot. Like, it's absolutely, it's kind of like, remember the Harlem Globetrotters and the Washington Generals? It's like the Washington Generals are running our country. That's what's happened to Canada. It's absolutely hysterical. I'm not sure I'll be able to listen to Miser speak and Blackface today. Oh, is Blackface speaking today? Oh, wonderful. I'm going to predict he's going to call us all a bunch of racists. And Canada's economy, all of a sudden cares about the economy. Canada's economy was being, irrevocably damaged. And even leaders in the province were on side with him. That's how you know this is all the political class colluding together. And from people around the world, and lives were being disrupted, and the harassment, and people had like all this fake bullshit, right? And people masks, and people were being threatened, and it's all the most powerful people in the world in the country claiming victim status. It's pathetic. Like, zero leadership. I've never seen like the level of spineless cowardice amongst all of them is beyond even my imagination. And listen, I didn't have a very high opinion of them to begin with, but wow, they're a bunch of pussies. Like, oh my God, sorry for the language, but it's just like, it's the only way to describe them. Like, it's so... And besides, I'm a George Carlin fan, so it is what it is. Ryan, I'm just picturing C2 leopards rolling down the street, and the libs complaining about the noise and diesel fumes. You think trucks were bad? They're so dumb. They're so dumb. We'll get to that in a second. I thought what we'll do is let's do reverse order, and let's talk about first Omar Algebra. Who was made famous in that movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He played the character of Splinter, apparently. And people are now posting memes on Locals. I love it. You guys are amazing. Oh my God. I'll share some of these later on. Freakland. We call her Krista Freakland. She's wonderful. So Omar Algebra. As I mentioned, famous in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the character Splinter. First, it's very important. He was denied entry into the United States many years ago, and according to, from what I've been told, it was due to concerns of extremism, because he was at that point, I believe that he was during or after. He was head of the Canadian Arab Federation, which was full on board with Hamas, the terrorist group. Yeah, they're big supportive of Hamas. That was Omar Algebra. So it's ironic that this piece of shit is the transportation minister in Canada. Like, oh, the irony, like sometimes... life always trends towards humor. Well, there you go. There's the humor. The guy who was denied entry into Canada is the one who locked down the border into Canada, or into the U.S. and Canada. Anyways, so that's just a little side note. I think what we need to do is we need to explain to people around us. People need to learn how to sift through the fuzzy language. I see this with people who are my friends who are more liberal. Because people use language, and this is the whole point of me being a little bit more extreme in my language starting. We all watch movies. We all know what swear words are. So let's not all pretend like, we're snowflakes and children, okay? But we need to learn how to sift through this curated bureaucratic language that's all fuzzy-wuzzy and about safety, and we're saving Canada, and we're lives at stake. When you hear, I want everybody to start to slowly build this frame. When you hear a politician talk about safety, automatically assume he's lying to you. That's it. Because that's how all authoritarians grab power. They use the excuse of safety all the time. It's safety. The Berlin Wall, that was for safety. The death camps in Europe, in Germany during the 1930s, those were for safety, because the Jews transmitted... Was it typhoid? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. It's always for safety. It's always for safety with extremists. So when you hear that word, it's for the safety of Canadians. That's when you know you're dealing with an extremist, and you need to reject them, whatever they're saying. Critical thinking, exactly. It's so many people get duped by that. Like, oh, the government is not there to care for you. The government is a neutral body that's there to administer the country. It's not supposed to care about you. Governments do not care about people. They're there as it's a bureaucracy to run the machine. It's like putting gasoline in your car. Does gasoline care about you? No. Gasoline is there just to fuel the engine. I think that's the frame we all need to start to switch into, because this whole the government cares about you narrative that people fall victim to, very, very dangerous. That's how extremists gain control. Anyways, so Omar admitted that many Canadians were, I don't remember the exact word, I don't have it here, but, just in general, that Canadians were aggravated because their lives were being destroyed by the blows to the economy due to the COVID lockdowns and, as he said, border restrictions. Well, yeah, Omar, guess who did that? Guess who did that? It was you. So the lack of self-awareness is not limited just to Prime Minister Blackface and his antics. It's the rest of them as well. He was also, this is interesting, he was asked about the provincial response and what his thoughts were on the provincial mandates being dropped, because even Doug Ford had at least a functioning brain cell to realize that, hey, maybe these Gestapo-like passports going into restaurants, maybe that's not a good idea. So even he dropped them. He had no choice, right? But, and Omar was asked about the provinces dropping it. First he lied and said they didn't, which they did. And no surprise they lied. When he talks, it's usually lying, all of them. But he also said he doesn't know, he can't comment. What do you mean you didn't know? Like, your boss, Prime Minister Blackface, who we know you're the ones who are running the show. Blackface is just a mascot, right? And you can see this in these text messages with Lametti and Marco and him. They're all the ones running it. Trudeau has no friggin' clue. He's just, he's Spicoli that they roll out to give a cool statement about, hey, dude, we're going to be loving each other, and that's it, right? The rest of them, they're the ones running the show. And you can see that in all their interactions. And he doesn't know honestly, Omar, it's bad even for you. You never were terribly convincing. We all know what you are, but come on, man, give it up, right? Okay, no, I'll go through the comments in a little bit, but Doug Ford's text, we can see why he didn't want to testify, couldn't wait to hammer the truckers. He's nothing like his brother. No, Doug Ford is Justin Trudeau. It's the exact same thing, and he's taken over the Conservative Party. He is not it's the Progressive Party. That's what we should call it. Forget Conservative. Let's just refer to it as the Progressive Party from now on, led by Doug Ford. Anyways. So yeah, I thought it was just very funny that he thought he could get away with that degree of lying. And I also noticed afterwards, so you have, the way it's structured is the commission lawyer examines you. And then you get cross-examined by a bunch of entities. Most of them did not cross-examine Omar. The Ottawa police and various, maybe the Alberta, was it the Alberta police or somebody in the Alberta government, at least asked some pointed questions. So there was a little bit of pushback, and then followed up by the government of Canada. Well, he said himself the government of Canada was the client to which, attorney-client privilege applies. So that's him interviewing himself. So he got examined by the commission, and then he got examined by the government, which was himself. And something else about that's really pissing me off. This whole client-attorney privilege. No, that's for individuals. That's not for the government. The government is us. We're the one who elected you. We want to know what's happening. Client privilege. Fuck off. No, that's not how it works. It's so crazy that these people, and it's shocking that I see people watching this and saying nothing. Like, it's so frustrating. The fact that they could try to point to attorney-client privilege. Like, I've said this before. In our society, there is the presumption of innocence, right? Scott Adams talks about this on his platform, and he's correct. The presumption of innocence is for us, for the citizen. But much like a trade, like a debit and credit, there's somebody else on that on the other side of that transaction. And the person on the other side of that transaction is the government, which means for the government, there's the presumption of guilt. We get the presumption of innocence. They get the presumption of guilt. You assume they're guilty. That's why we have a commission to investigate. That's why they're so heavily regulated, is because when things fall afoul, the assumption is that the government is at fault and the presumption of innocent is the person, the citizen. That's how our system works. But they want to flip it the other way. Oh, we're the government, right? We're the ones in power, but we're the victims. Like, no, that's not how society works. It's so crazy. The government should not have the privilege. Yeah, they're very privileged, but whatever. We are also frustrated. God help us. Well, Brenda, listen. It's annoying. I'm not all that surprised, and I think we all could have predicted a lot of this that was going to happen. And we knew this would be somewhat of a clown show, but to the degree of a clown show it's frustrating. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit after Lametti, because what you're seeing is you're just seeing two political narratives, and none of you are seeing the truth, which is what I and a couple of others tried to bring to the commission when we testified. And the other is somebody was asking me about data dumps, and so I got, I don't know how many documents, so many documents, 48 hours before I testified, I guess, when I was driving to Ottawa. I got a call from Jim Kalaharios, my lawyer, saying, we just got a ton of evidence dumped on us, and you'll have to take a look at it when you get to Ottawa. And it's okay, great, fine. And so we just had a small window. We were preparing for everything for our testimony. And then in between getting the data dump from the commission and me testifying, in between there was my former lawyer, if you want to call him that, who broke privilege and lied on the record, just completely lied. So we needed to then not only address all the commission claims, but then needed to address testimony that was completely unfortunate and false the day before, right? And we had a very small window to do that. And that's why we were up until 2, 3 in the morning both nights trying to get through stuff. All of them drunk on power, yeah, 100%. And this is what happens with extremists. You give extremist weasels a little bit of power, and it goes to their head. And that brings me to the next psychopath, Lametti. God. Beth says, on locals, I have yet to hear how the convoy went from legal to illegal. Yeah, they throw that word around a lot. I understand the illegal. I guess because we're bylaw infractions, because we're parked in Ottawa. And who has the power to make that decision? There was no court case that said this, I believe. Well, there's some dispute there, because our lawyer, who was on the stand before me, was telling all of us during the convoy that, oh yeah, I got a ruling for the judge. The judge says it's perfectly legal, which apparently was a lie. That's not what the judge said. So, anyways. Well, again, political actors. It's political actors coming in to direct the convoy to end it as quickly as possible, which was the whole premise of my testimony, what I was trying to explain. Notwithstanding that blackface is a third world dictator, and that whole regime would be worthy of any banana republic, we know that. But there were other parties at play that were in alignment with them, which was what I was trying to explain in my testimony. But I couldn't just get up and talk. I could only answer questions, which made it very, very difficult. There's so many memes coming up. You guys are... Oh, my God. Hold on. I'm taking snapshots on my iPad so I can post them in a little bit onto Twitter. These are... You guys are amazing. So good. Something's running out. Okay, great. I'll share that with you after. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, so before the head of the Mr. I Love Hamas, before him was Lametti. Lametti, the guy who thought people should have their, what did he say? They should have their bank accounts or assets seized if they were pro-Trump. He said, I remember watching that during the convoy. I think, wow, this guy's crazy. Lori, you're so right. These questions need to be answered. All these questions need to be answered. So many. I'm going to go through all the there's so many comments coming up. I'm going to go through them all in a little bit. Let me just get through this. Okay, so Lametti, the guy's a maniac. Like, the guy is really dangerous. I personally think he's mentally ill. I think he's a high functioning and severely mentally ill, in my opinion. He was very funny. So for me, and I seriously, for me, Lametti is the Jeffrey Dahmer of Canadian politics. That's how crazy I think he is. Like, he really has a screw loose. This is the type of person that has the potential for extreme violence. This is the type of person who would commit mass genocide if they had enough power to do so. That's how scary this guy is. And that's not to go into all of his tripling down of racial politics and critical race theory. Like, the guy is, they always complain about, white supremacists and the KKK. That's Lametti. That's exactly what he is. The exact same worldview, except he has an out-group preference, not an in-group preference. So the KKK or white supremacists, whatever you want to call them, these people who really barely exist and don't have any institutional power, so I don't know why anybody's afraid of them. People with that mindset, they're racial identitarians. So they want laws based on their race. That's what Lametti wants. He's the exact same. He's no different, except he has a preference for a race other than his. Like, these people are obsessed with race. That's how dangerous he is. And that is the Attorney General of Canada. That is arguably the second most powerful person in the country, who has the exact same philosophical worldview as the KKK. That's what this whole diversity leads to. That's what this obsession with race leads to, lunatics like that. And if he got power, I'm telling you, people would be killed. I mean, it's very evident by some of the things that he said. So in their communication, so the first thing in the communication was really striking for me was, I'm going to read out the second half of what was there. They said in there, this was between Marco Mendicino, who is as intelligent as Prime Minister Blackface, and Lametti. And it says, this is from, I think it's from, which one's this from? I think this is, and it doesn't matter. Anyways, it's from Marco. This is, people are looking to you for leadership, us/you for leadership, and not stupid people like Carney, Kath, and my team. Carney. Mark Carney. Who gives a fuck about Mark Carney? He's not in power in Canada. He's not elected. Why do we care anything about Mark Carney? He's not an elected official. He has no position in our government. He does have his head shoved as far up Klaus Schwab's ass as possible. But other than that, he has no involvement. Why Mark Carney? Like, I know there's clearly talks about he would take over for Trudeau when Trudeau is over, which is completely, that is very, very scary. But I don't know. This is a problem. I mean, I call Carney the Klaus Schwab's enema. That's how far up his rear end he is. But Why is the Attorney General talking about this essentially, this person who's essentially irrelevant to the governance of Canada? Why do we give a fuck what he thinks? I don't care what he thinks. Like, crazy. Really scary. Anyways, so then the response to that, you know, important people like Mark Carney. God, liberals are such airheads. And I don't mean liberal people, but the Liberal Party. There's such, you see it a lot in politics. It's like, who knows who? That's all it is. It's no substance to these people. They're very, I would say when I lived down south, como plástica, like very, very plastic, right? So he responds, how many tanks are you asking for? Tanks! What? How many tanks are you asking for? Just want to ask Anita how many we've got on hand. Tanks. That was Marco Mendicino that responded. How many tanks? A fucking airhead. Oh my God, you're so dumb. Firstly, bringing a tank, you'll tear up the street. The streets are very narrow. Like, there's so many problems with that. Like, this is not... They're all educated by the movies. Like, they don't have a... It's so weird. I'm trying to look for the word to describe the level of stupidity of these people, you know? Like, I would want to dumb it down to their level, but I'm afraid of heights. That's how they're so crazy. It's so dumb. It's amazing. And then Lametti, the psychopath, Jeffrey Dahmer of Canadian politics, responds, I reckon one will do. You reckon one will do, huh, cowboy? Cowboy reckons one tank will do? How the fuck do you know? What, do you have experience in the military? What do you know about tanks? What do you about no? Like, oh my God, it's so shocking how these brainlets, which explains why during the convoy we got wind that the government was reaching out, wanted military involvement. Somebody had leaked not these messages to us, but they leaked to us that, yeah, the government's calling on the military. And I remember asking, I remember who said it in one of the command centers. I said, and what was the response? And the military response was, yeah, go take a hike. That we're not here to engage with civil and peaceful protesters in Ottawa. That's not what the military is for. But they tried. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, his insanely inflated ego now makes him believe that he has the knowledge to dictate what sort of military ordnance they need for these trucks that are parked illegally in downtown Ottawa. Like, their level of incompetence is to the point where it's dangerous. It's going to cause hot conflict just because they're so stupid. That's it. Just because they're so dumb. It's shocking. But Lametti, that's the type of person, and you can see by his mannerism, his behavior, his ego, his entitlement, that's the type of person that commits mass genocide when they get to power. Very, very, very scary. The best thing to come out of this is the hashtag how many tanks. Because, I mean, the best way to show how ridiculous these people are is just mockery, is just to make fun of them and to show how ridiculous they are. And how many tanks online has got to be the funniest thing. And I think Ottawa Gestapo, by the way, a brilliant follow on Twitter, as he said, it looks like Lametti is a shoo-in for the next Golden Tank Awards. It's so good. It's so hard. Lisa says Mark Carney is a woke asshole. Well, yeah, he is. But the problem with Mark Carney is he veils it with sophistication and charm. And this is the problem. We need to be able to learn how to sift through the charm. And just because somebody has a nice appearance and uses nice language and they joke and like Carney is very charming, that should be your warning. Somebody told me a long time ago that when you're in a room of a number of high-profile people, inevitably there is somebody there who has links to narco, like international drug trades or extremism, terrorism, whatever, all those sorts of things, right? The person who is the most deadly and the most dangerous that's the nicest person in the room. That's the person everybody likes, because that's how they're able to progress and hit that level. It's not like in the movies. In the movies, they teach us that bad guys are all cruel and evil, like Bane in the movie Batman. That's what a bad guy looks like. No. A bad guy looks like your doctor. A bad guy looks like a very nice, calming, peaceful person. And you learn that living in South America, that's how it operates. So we need to get our wits about us. But anyways, these people who want to bring tanks in to Ottawa for these illegally parked trucks. It just goes to show how effective the protest was by having it decentralized, which is a word you often hear around Bitcoin, why Bitcoin is powerful. We had the Freedom Corp group, of which only 2 of us original members are on that board. So when Brendan gets up there and says, I represent the Freedom Corp organization, no, you don't. I have no idea who you are. I've never met you. You attacked me, even though I'm a member of the board. But 5 of us are no longer on that board because we were systematically removed by it by those very lawyers. So it's basically lawyers representing lawyers is what it is. It's because this is all political. And you are the target audience. You're the one they're trying to manipulate with this strategy. And it works. It often works. Lisa says, I know who sabotaged the Freedom Convoy. It was the $10 million. Well, that's what brought all the attention. It was so bad. It was so annoying. Tamara and I were talking about it during the convoy. Everybody was just obsessed with the money. It's not our money, right? It's money for, everything we need for all the expenses that we incur. Legal expenses, of course. We didn't anticipate it get to the level that it is. But, and for the truckers and for bringing in fuel and bring people there and buying food. And, Tamara went and emptied out her personal bank account just to give money to truckers to pay for fuel. And, we were all tapped out. So that's what the raising the money was for, right? It wasn't, but people were just obsessed with it. It was... Saw some of the best parts of humanity in Ottawa, and we saw some of the worst aspects of humanity there. But anyways, let's get on to Lametti's a psychopath. We've all agreed that. I think you all see that. And it was very funny how his body language changed from when the commission was asking him questions to when his own side of the political aisle was asking him questions. He bowing his head. I know there's monitors there. But you didn't need to look down at the monitors. When I was sitting there, I could sit back up and see the monitor. It was almost right in front of my face. So there was no need for him to bend down. That was submissive body language, because that were his own people. Those are his own votes deteriorating before his very eyes, I think. It's why Trudeau has him there. They are both crazy. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know who asked him to be there, but, put him in that position. But it wasn't Trudeau. Trudeau wasn't the one who made the decision. It was someone amongst the people in PMO, those as former Liberal Party members who I've met, who give me a little bit of the inside story as what's going on in the Liberal Party because they want to fix it. That's how I know that Trudeau has no clue what's going on. It's a small group of 20 people, and you see some of these people in these text messages. They're running everything, and they have no clue what they're doing. They're completely incompetent. And none of the old, let's call them the older statesmen in the Liberal Party, regardless whether you like the Liberals or not, that's not what I'm getting at. The fact that there are people who had decades of experience in the Liberal Party, they don't talk to Trudeau. Trudeau doesn't talk to them. So it's a bunch of kids in that running the country. Remember the Liberal ad about tanks in the streets? They were telling us what they're going to do in 2005. That I don't remember. Lisa, you have to give me some context. And not too long. It's going to be short because it's difficult to read anything. But please let me know what you mean. Okay, so then we get on to Brendan Miller. It's Miller time. I love how people are trying to brand that Miller time. I fucking hate that guy. I got to be honest. I really, because he sat there in front of me and lied. He just lied about my role in the convoy. He said, he got so desperate that he said, "You broke to Tamara's Twitter." No. Firstly, there's no breaking into Twitter. It's, it's not like I'm going in the back and going to the safe and drilling out a lock. Like it's an app, you moron, and it's tied to a cell phone number. And the cell phone number it was tied to was Tamara's cell phone, because Tamara asked me from the very beginning to run her Twitter. So yes, all those tweets during the entire convoy and, stalking Jerry Butts and all of that, yes, that was me. That wasn't Tamara. And I was using her account and my account and a couple of others congruently to put out different messages to different groups of people. I mean, again, that's what I was asked to do. Communications, media strategy, and get as much attention on the convoy as possible. So, anyways, enough with him. So he goes, and the first thing we got to understand here, and I know some people are not going to like it, but I'm just telling you the truth. And you're going to get it from me and a couple of other people, and that's it. And, Bridget is a good example. Chad, Chris, Guerra, we're all the ones that were, systematically removed from the board. Some of the other road captains and volunteers as well feel the same as us. This is the Conservative Party versus the Liberal Party. That's what you're watching. So Miller and Wilson, which we'll get to in a second, that's the Conservative Party. Wilson's a Conservative Party operative. That's why you see him with pictures with him with the new premier of Alberta, the former premier of Alberta, because this is the political party that he represents, and I'll explain that in a second. And the other side is the Liberal Party, which is all the other 20 parties that are 19 parties that have standing, and that's the convoy was Mad Max, it was pandemonium, people were dying, all that sort of stuff. And that's it. So that's what you're seeing. You're not seeing truth. You're seeing typical political hackery and political narrative. Because none of these people care about the truckers. They don't give a damn about the truckers. Because as I explained in my testimony, Wilson worked with Dean French, Doug Ford's friend since the 1990s, personal money manager, and former chief of staff, and brought him in to represent the truck. I never spoke to him. I never met him. And then he came retroactively to say, yeah, we're going to reach out to the city. And as I've said many times before, I said, no, you're not doing that, Keith. That is stupid. Wait. And, we had a lot of, Tamara was under so much pressure because every 5 seconds she would have somebody making a demand or asking her for something. And so many of our communications were, Tamara would send me a message about some idea that somebody presented to her, and I would say, no, we can't do that because of A, B, and C. Or I would call her and say, Tamara, who's telling you this? And she would say, whoever the person is, what it was. And I'd say, well, I don't think we should do this, and this is why, A, B, C, and D. This is the effect that it'll have. It'll damage us and whatever. And she'd say, okay, you're right. That's a good point. And then she'd go back and tell them no. We did that so many times, hundreds of times. Constantly, because everybody was berating her with stuff, and she just had all sorts of people from all sides constantly making demands of her or threatening us, right? So it is what it is. So, anyways, Miller gets ejected out. Okay, the arguing with a judge, and this is first-year law students. No, you don't speak over a justice. And these proceedings, by the way, this is a court proceeding, as I learned as in the preparation for my testimony. This followed all the rules of a court proceeding. It was presided on by a judge who currently serves on, I believe it's the Court of Appeals, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a court case, is what it is. It's a little bit more loose because it's the first time they're having a commission under this legislation. So everybody's trying to learn and figure out how this works. And Justice Rouleau doesn't want to be criticized, because this is going to be his legacy, of his commission not following the rules. That's why when people say, can I have a couple of extra minutes here? We had it with Jim. We found this Rule 59 where we could ask, because I was denied standing, I was denied everything. I was denied the ability to speak. I just had to, capitulate, say yes, no questions, and admit guilt to things that I didn't do, which is what I was being set up for. Which is why when the JCCF submitted applications for standing, for all the members of the board, they removed my name. They put everybody else's name forward, but not me. And that's when I found out from Sean Thiessen and Chris and the others that they were going to try to set me up. So I kind of had a little bit of headway with that from them. But this is a court proceeding, is how it operates. So it should follow the court rules, which means when you're a barrister and solicitor, you don't argue with a judge. And it's very frustrating, some of the things that happened. And he argued over nothing because the redactions were, A, going to be challenged in court if they needed to be challenged, and B, the justice after, when Wilson brought it up again, said, well, if this is how I would have been approached, then I would have addressed it accordingly. And I believe they were redacted. So what was the purpose of this? Remember I said it's conservative versus liberals. Neither of them support the convoy, and neither of them want to be seen as supporting the convoy, right? So what it does, it allows the lawyer for the convoy, or the two remaining board members of the convoy, the rest of us are not there, to get mainstream or legacy media attention, so the legacy media can say, look, even the lawyers are unhinged. Not only were the trucks unhinged, but the lawyers were unhinged. And you got to get out of the frame of mind of you and I, how we think. We have to think how the normies, who have very little, very little awareness in terms of the details of the convoy, how are they going to respond? They're sitting in the kitchen, cooking dinner, talking to their kids, and they see on a quick news flash on the TV behind them that the convoy lawyer was thrown out of court for whatever behavior. So there you go. Okay, so that's what they're trying to do, right? So two benefits. It got it on mainstream media, and it got it mainstream media in a negative way to paint the convoy as a negative light. If you don't know that this is how politics works in Canada, that this sort of stuff, that they do this sort of stuff, the political parties do this sort of stuff in Canada, I can tell you, this is all they do. This is the only thing they do, is this and manipulation of the voter base going into election through using tactics like this. I've seen it many times before. This is how politics works. It's not about governance anymore. It's not about you. They don't give a damn about you. It's about optics and controlling the message. If I had $1 every time I heard somebody in politics tell me control the message, like it's freaky. And it's not limited to any political party. It's all of them. They all operate that way. Anyways, so yeah, okay, so he gets thrown out. Well, now we know why that happened. That was staged. And if you look at Miller, you can see he's a horrible actor. He's in portrayal. You know what portrayal mode is? Portrayal is if you read body language, you know when you can see when somebody slips into portrayal. He was in portrayal, and his body language was incongruent from his emotional state. That's how you can tell he was a terrible actor. A good actor can marry their emotional state to the message that they're sending. He didn't do that. That's why it looks weird. It looks a little odd. Like, go back and watch his rant outside with the media when he was, I think it was Tamara that pulled him away or something. Does that look authentic to you? Compare that to how he behaves when he's questioning people, right? Especially when he's questioning people and he knows he's got a leg up. Two completely different people. Him when he's doing that versus outside, you can see there's something wrong there. It's because that was premeditated. But then, so anyways, he got kicked out. That was very damaging to the Freedom Convoy, because all these political parties want to do is destroy the movement of the Freedom Convoy, because they can't have us all coming together. Like, there's TikTokers who have, in their description, Canadian leftists, and they're supporting us, along with many of us who are conservative. Like, we're all coming together despite our differences. Well, they can't have that. That doesn't work for their voter rolls, for, trying to do their voter ID campaigns when they're knocking on doors. This kind of completely disrupts the process to which they ID voters at the door. They need you to have you in either one camp or another camp or undecided, and it's the undecided that they go after, right? So this puts a little is a problem for them. But then something else that was very weird. So Miller's ejected, and then when the proceedings, after the proceedings begin, Wilson, I don't want to say my former lawyer, because he was a lawyer for the JCCF. I never had a retainer with him. So that whole relationship was deceptive, in my opinion, to begin with. And Bridget, I'm sure you could comment on that. I know Bridget is here. Anyways, so the what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So then after, Wilson is there in front of the microphone and he addresses the commissioner. I have a question. Why? He's a witness, right? He's recused as a lawyer. He's now a witness. He testified. Why is he sitting with the lawyers? And secondly, you may not know, they're not telling you, some media is not being honest with you. He's been replaced. The remaining Freedom Corp, the two people, and whether the three other road captains, they have a new lawyer. His name is James or Jason or something like that. It's not Wilson. He's not their lawyer. So what the fuck's he doing sitting there? Throw him out. He'd be thrown on his ass. Who does he represent? Who does he work for? Why is he there? Shouldn't be there. The commissioner shouldn't even talk to him. It was like as if somebody sitting in the stands got up and started making some demands. Excuse me? He's not the lawyer on the file. So what is going on? Who does he work for? Oh, yes. Dean French, Doug Ford's buddy. He's representing the Progressive Party. That's why he's there. Because he needs to ensure that the narrative has moved forward, that, the Freedom Convoy was peaceful but got out of hand, which is a complete lie. We all know it. Everybody who is there knows it's a total lie. So, anyways, it's just very frustrating to see these people make a mockery of these proceedings. I tried to go in there and have respect for them, and the preparation was very stressful. Oh, and one other thing. I put this in a tweet, by the way. You guys will love this. So I and my lawyer, Jim, thank God for him. Wow, he was amazing, by the way. Firstly, and people are doing this, Hurtlock and Marazzo's trying to do this, trying to make this all about political parties. I'm not in a political party. I hired Jim because I'm friends with him. He's an engineer and a lawyer, which means I knew he would have a level of hyper attention to detail. He was amazing. Thank God for that. I was completely right, because I have friends who are engineers. I know how they think. They're very, very specific on little details. Like a really good journalist, John Goddard, who I did the book with, by the way, is like that as well. Honkingforfreedom.com, by the way. If you haven't gotten it, get a copy and leave a review, please. And John as well. John, who was an investigative journalist for 30 years, is like that. Hyper focused on attention to details. Like when we were talking about, the timeline leading up to the book, what kind of truck do you drive? What color is the truck? Just really, and Jim is like that as a lawyer. That's why I wanted him as a lawyer. And he's a friend, and I trust him, right? It's just an added benefit that he knows all these political players and how corrupt they are and how they operate. But it was really his skill at counsel. And boy, was I right on that. And he found that loophole, Law 59, that allowed him to lead questions at the end of my testimony and stuff like that. I'm losing my point. What was I getting here? I was talking about, I was complaining about the lawyer who's not a lawyer, who is LARPing as a lawyer in front of the judge and the judge talking to him. So anyways, it's, the evidence. When we went through all the evidence, we submitted, and I put a tweet of it. I took a snapshot of my drive. We submitted total between the commission. I think the commission sent us like 20 or 30 documents that they wanted to present as evidence and question me on those documents. Bridget knows. She went through the same thing. The rest are documents that we submitted. So we submitted, 60 documents, maybe 70, like a lot. Transcripts, videos, email communications, You only saw a little taste of it, okay? In that file, there's a total of 109 files of evidence around my testimony. 109. But when you go to the commission website, because it's all supposed to be available to the public, you know how many documents are accessible to you? My evidence that I provided? Of the 109 documents that surround my testimony, most of them are documents that I submitted as evidence with my lawyer. Of the 109 documents that I submitted, you know how many are accessible to you on the website? 3. 3 documents. Of 109, 3 documents. And those 109 documents are important because they explain my testimony in its full context, because we couldn't get everything in the short period of time of Q&A sessions. That's why the evidence is so important. That's why I keep telling people, go look at the evidence. And then I find out, yeah, only 3 documents are available. So what's going to... Should I release them? Should I upload them? I mean, I have them on a drive here. I can always put like a Google Drive link on my Twitter social media and say, hey, here's all the evidence that I submitted to the commission. Should I do that? Would you guys look at it? Like, I don't know. But anyways, all of that to say, that's all very annoying. But as I always talk about here, when we want to focus on how good things are and how positive things, this is all the noise, right? So like there are many days that I don't even turn on the commission just because, you know what? I don't need the negativity. I don't need to be annoyed. Let's keep things as positive as possible, right? Because maintaining that positive frame is a struggle if every day you're watching, you know, the stuff that make you pull you into a negative headspace, if you will, right? So today I want to share with you what I did before I started this stream. And remember I mentioned the 5-minute journal? Well, today I did it. I started with my day before I came on the stream here with those 3 questions of from the 5-minute journal to reset kind of my state and make sure that despite the fact I'm going to talk about all these people who are backstabbing lawyers and typical politicians and whatever, that I could still maintain the positive frame. And how did I do that? I did that by answering the first question, which was, what are 3 things that you're grateful for? You want to know my 3 things were today? My 3 things were, number 1, people are finally starting to see the truth. Despite the months between the end of the convoy to now, people are now starting to see the truth of what went on. So that's, for me, that's a positive thing, because I know it's going to take a while. A lot of people still are going to attack me, or Dichter, this and whatever. Give them time, because eventually the truth always wins and the truth always prevails. And I made sure, that's why, you know, the political parties and certain media people are attacking me, because I'm not going along with a political narrative. I'm just going along with the truth, right down the center. That ultimately will win the race, right? The political parties won't win the race. We'll win it with the truth. The second thing that was positive for me starting the day, it's a really mild day out. Actually, it's quite lovely outside. It's foggy, but it's not cold. And that's like a little thing that helps me kind of set into a positive frame and appreciate all those things. It could be minus 40 degrees right now. That might be a little bit excessive, but you know what I mean. But it's not. It's a beautiful. So it's the small things in my daily life I got to appreciate. And the last thing was all of you here who joined me in this stream, who've been posting all these comments, of which there's so many comments now I'm losing track. All the comments I've received about the book, all the people telling me how the book was so amazing, it made me cry, it was so beautiful, and whatever. Like, those are amazing messages to read. So when I'm enveloped in all of these wonderful comments of support, and people are realizing, no, we're still together, irrespective of some political hacks are trying to paint the Freedom Convoy and this movement in a negative light, that we've all been rising above it, and we're sticking together, and we're finding each other more than we did during the convoy. Those are all things that make me look at things in a positive light and appreciate how good things are. And it's because of you that that I can say that I can find that as something to be appreciative in my life. So I want to thank you. I thank you all for doing. I'm sorry I wasn't here for a few days, but the trip down to Providence was a pain in the ass. But it is what it is. Where did I go? I didn't deliver to Providence. I delivered to Connecticut. Yeah, it was in New Haven, Connecticut. Anyways, I see you're all talking about stuff. You're going into details. Bridget is in there. You're all sharing information and about what went on and whatever. And it's cool. Bridget and I, and then we're going to be posting a flyer later on today and the link and all that sort of stuff. Bridget and I are going to be doing a speaking event and a book signing in Wallaceburg, Ontario on December the 4th. We talk about those of us who have found each other and are coming together and are going to be telling the truth to everybody and making everybody understand what went on from our perspectives. That's what's going to help it move forward, right? And so if you're in Ontario and you're near Western Ontario, Chatham, and I guess Sarnia, that whole part of the province, or even if you want to come from farther, come on December 4th. Come hang out with us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Bridget's been doing this 31-day positivity training thing, which has been amazing for her. I've already noticed a change not in Bridget and who she is, right? Like, you don't want to change people, but in falling into the positive mindset and understanding, like, yeah, okay, bunch of lawyers are dirtbags, no surprise, it is what it is, but we'll move forward and we'll move forward together. Bridget, the last comment just came out. Bridget, I'm so excited to get to spend time with you. The very town Convoy was started in. It's gonna be wonderful to be there, to be, have our time together and see all of you. And I encourage you, come out. Tickets are not, it was like $20. We just need to cover the costs of the venue and going out there and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of us, Bridget included, have been up against the wall financially since this convoy. It's done nothing but cause us money. And it is what it is. But we didn't do this for money. We did this because our freedom is vital. And somebody needed to speak up. And we did our best to do that. So, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to... And Bridget, we're not going to argue. Bridget and I have been spending a lot of time on the phone, as I've been spending time on the phone with Chris and with Chad. And hopefully one day I'll be able to speak to Tamara again as I used to. And we'll all understand that we had an important role to play in this beautiful moment in Canadian history. And that the friction that was there was stress and other people around us, lawyers, causing suspicion amongst each other. Like, they were saying a whole bunch of things about me. They were telling me things about I didn't really care. I ignored what they said about other people. But it was total manipulation from all sides because the political class wanted the protest to end, and they can't have Canadians unify because you can't divide up the voter base. It makes it very difficult for an election. And but like I say, too effing bad, right? Too effing bad. Aunt Beth, freedom is important. Thank you, Ben and Bridget, for standing up for all of us and our freedom. I'm sure Bridget extends the thank you as well, Beth. I appreciate it. Liberals created an ad stating Harper wants soldiers in the streets. I posted the link. Oh, yeah, okay, that's right. So in 2005, the Liberal ad was Harper wants soldiers in the streets. But the Liberals want tanks. God, they're so crazy. God, these people are so dumb. They're so dumb. They are educated exclusively by television and Netflix. Like, it's crazy. I've never seen I've never seen this. But you know what? We'll get beyond that. Guillaume says, hi, Bridget. Congrats for initiating the biggest snowball effect in Canada. Found out about you in Honking For Freedom, my book. So there you go, Bridget. Guillaume's a great dude. He's in Quebec, and look forward to finally meeting you face to face, buddy. Bridget, we don't argue. Bridget, we can argue. It's okay. Like, you and I are not soft. We can argue and still get along and respect each other and come to resolution. But yeah, I understand what you mean. It's not like some of the heated arguments that the lawyers were trying to cause amongst us during the convoy. And as you know, I didn't really get into a lot of heated arguments, because that's why I just said, okay, we're going to have a messaging team. We're going to be in my suite. All 5 of us will be there. We'll be in the adjacent suite. If anybody wants something, come talk to us. I'm not getting involved in the fights, you know? So, it is what it is. I'm going to have to run. I thank you all for all your beautiful comments. Sonia, as always, peace, love, unity, and hope. The convoy that gave us hope. And I think the effects of this are going to be felt for generations. It's only even started, right? We're still at the point where everybody's trying to argue history, but I'm hoping this will be the history people recognize, because this is all the positive and beautiful stories. And this might be one hell of a stocking stuffer, along with that book behind me, How the Prime Minister Stole Freedom. These 2 books together might change some minds. And the best people to buy this book for are liberals. Because, I mean, Guillaume, I think you can verify this, yes or no. I wanted to do this the way I do podcasts, which is there's no prologue, introduction, any of that. There's a table of contents, obviously. And then chapter 1. My lawyer told me to leave town immediately. The police could arrest me. The bail judge could ban me from protesting. And if that happens, who will go out there and speak for freedom? I told him to stop being dramatic. Nobody is going to kick down the door and cuff me. They might, he said. That's the first paragraph of the book. I get right into it. So no nonsense. That's why the book is concise. It's 200 and... What did we finally say? Because it kept bouncing around. 213 pages. But I hope they're very exciting pages. Jesse says, thank you, Ben and Bridget. Listen, thank you for all the support. We couldn't have done it with all of you. We needed the support. So it's not about me and Bridget. It's about all of us coming together. And we came together and we had a magical moment in Canadian history that will be remembered forever. Do I have to put the book up again? HonkingForFreedom.com, by the way. And because I've put it on, I'm still waiting for Ellie to put up the 4th platform. You can order it and drop ship it to, I think, anywhere in the world at this point. So if you know anybody overseas, there's somebody right now, it's actually John, is in France, and he's taken a couple of copies to France. Because did you know there was a convoy in France that, as well as 30 some odd countries, and Macron brought in tear gas, and he was just as aggressive as Trudeau before Trudeau was. I think that's where they might have got the idea of how to deal with the truckers, was based on what happened in France. So I think they're doing some research. I think we'll put something about that at some point in my Substack, BJdichter.substack.com. I also did a Substack this week about Steve Charlin. He's the French guy, not French guy, but you know what I mean. The guy who was testifying exclusively in French from Quebec and was arrested a week after the protest, and his bank suspended all his accounts and deleted him as a customer. It doesn't get enough play. Like, nobody was talking about it in English media. That's why I put it on my Substack to share his story. And it's scary and fascinating at the same time. And I want to share as many stories like that as possible. I do have about 100,000 people who follow my Substack, so I know those messages will get out there. And so yeah, check it out. It's important. So maybe I'll add that to the homework list. Get a copy as a stocking stuffer for Christmas. and follow my Substack, bjdichter.substack.com, and share it with other people. The way we're going to win this propaganda war that we're in with the government and our political parties is by running a marathon, not a sprint. And this will be over time. And slowly, everybody, I think, is realizing the truth, which is why that was the number one thing I'm most grateful for today. So thank you all. And Beth says, well, I'll get to you guys in a second when I shut down. I got to run. That needs to get out, Lies. You guys, you know what? We should maybe, Bridget, you're not on Twitter. We should do some sort of Twitter space at some point. You know what? You know what we'll do? Let's do a Twitter space with Bridget when we are in Wallaceburg. So we'll bring everybody out there together, and at the same time, maybe we'll be able to simulcast or do it afterwards, or if we simulcast, we can bring in questions, not just from people in the audience, but we can bring in questions from people over Twitter who can't make it. Maybe that's a good thing, a way to approach Wallaceburg as well, if you guys would like that. Great idea. Yeah, okay, Libby, great. I'm sharing this video with so many people. I know they are they have a very distorted view of the EMA Commission proceedings. Yeah, and I think some of that blame lies at the feet of not just legacy media, but alternative media, right? I did do the interview with Sheila Gunn Reid. It was Sheila Gunn Reid, myself, and Jim Kalaharios, which explained my testimony and why my testimony was there and the truth of what's going on in these political actors that came in and started meddling with the convoy. So if you know anybody who was arrested or had their truck that was impounded, you could thank the political actors / lawyers who came to Ottawa and put them all at risk and put an end to the convoy prematurely. You can thank them for doing that. And I never understood, and Bridget, you're here. You can comment this, because you know what? Me and Bridget haven't talked about this, actually, and I'm interested to see what you think. I remember when, Marazzo, whose job, from what I understood, was, because I was dealing with media stuff and Tamara, that he was going to be the guy who's just kind of dealing with trucks, whatever that means, right? Trucks are all parked, so I didn't know what more that entailed, but okay, fine. I had too many other things to deal with. So Bridget, my friend Salman, who has protested most of his life in Iran and been kettled many times and arrested in Iran, protesting to overthrow the regime. He's kind of more, secularist sort of thing. He kept coming into my room and saying, who's moving the trucks? Tell them to stop moving the trucks. And he said, because what they're going to do is they're going to put a police barricade on this street and a police barricade there and a police barricade there. That allows them to trap all the truckers. He said, I saw this in Iran all the time. Tell whoever is doing this to stop doing this. They're helping the police set up the truckers to be kettled. And I thought, oh, Tom Marazzo, that's what he's doing. Well, that makes sense, right? Told him not to have a news conference, had a news conference. Told him not to do certain things, he did it anyways. Didn't listen to a fucking thing I told him, right? He just went in because he seemed to be, it's documented, he was meeting with the mayor and Ottawa police and Dean French, who's Doug Ford's sidearm. He was meeting with them. So how much intel did he leak to the Ottawa police? Did he go in and tell them, this is because he had all the access to the information from the Swiss hotel. He knew where everything was laid out. Did he just take that information, go right to Ottawa police and say, okay, here you go. This is where all the trucks are right now. Where do we need to move them? Is that why? Because Salman was losing his mind. He's like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, I don't know. Talk to the Swiss hotel. I've told them repeatedly, don't move everything. Leave everything the way it is. We have all the leverage. It was great. Anyways, Jesse, I love Jesse. I love you. You know why? You know why I have passion? Because I don't bullshit. I just tell the truth. And when you tell the truth, it's so easy to have passion and to be authentic and congruent, right? Unlike Miller, when he staged that thing in the commission and went outside and pretended to be all shocked with the redactions. Like, dude, we all knew there was going to be redactions. What, are you new to politics? Like, come on. He knew that. Anyways, he saw the evidence. It was submitted to him the day before. He could see, like, ugh. All it did is make us look bad, you know. K9, Tom was the operative used to do the government's will and destroy the movement in Ottawa. What do you mean? He's a hero. What are you talking about? He's the military hero. Check your ego. Guy's such a... And he's got to be the biggest airhead I've ever met. Really, he's just not smart. He's like Trudeau. He's just not smart. Yes, he was dealing with the trucks. He also said we did a perfect job. I didn't understand why he moved at all. He said we did a great job, then destroyed it. Talking about Tom Morazzo. Yeah, so, okay. So Bridget wasn't in the Sheraton Hotel. Bridget was with them and on the ground. So she saw the same thing that I saw, even though we didn't communicate directly on it. So there you go. Jesse, I know I love it's rare. I don't know. Well, Jesse, thank you. You're adorable. You're a sweetheart. You're all amazing. And yeah, he's the retroactive spokesperson. You know, I love all these retroactive moves being put on by the lawyers. Let's not call them the Freedom Corp. Let's call them the lawyers and a couple of road captains, right? That's basically what it is. It's crazy. Anyways, listen, I got to run. It is way over my time right now. And, wow, an hour and 10 minutes. It's been a few days. I hope I at least ended with, you know, that positive vibe of, despite all of this noise that we're seeing and Omar lying and how many tanks, which is amazing, and Ottawa Gestapo, which is the Twitter account we should all follow. I hope you understand that there's a reason I'm still positive, because not only do I and all of us have so much to be grateful for, but change is on the horizon. The truth is getting out there. The truth will get out there despite how many people tried to lie about what went on. You got a lot of truth in here, and the best thing is the people who tell me it made them cry. I love that. I really do. It's so good. And I have to actually send, I haven't spoken to Jordan for quite a while. I got to send him a message and to thank him for the endorsement on the back. And because I actually never had a long, detailed conversation about his opinion about the manuscript. I know he read it and stuff, but anyways, thank you all. I love you all. Where are all the comments? It says 35 IC4. I don't know. Well, I'm streaming, Bill. I'm streaming on multiple platforms, and it depends where you're watching it. So I'll explain that. It's on Locals, YouTube, and multiple Facebook pages, and on the Honking for Freedom Twitter account. So what I see is all the comments get aggregated into one space, two spaces actually. Most of them are here, and then Locals is separate. And that's probably why. So you may be watching, if you're watching on like the Honking for Freedom Facebook page. Oh yeah, by the way, I've never promoted it because I don't really use Facebook much. But there is a Honking for Freedom Facebook page. That's for you guys who are on Facebook. If you want to share information, content about the Freedom Convoy and about the book, go ahead and use that page. I'll post whatever you want to it. I'm cool with that. I'm just don't, you know, all the nonsense they say about me, just kind of keep that to a minimum if you can. But yeah, Billy, I hope that clarifies things, and thank you. Bridget says, I'm positive because I have you guys. Thank you. It was a dark time before. Listen, Bridget, we've all been there. And, you know, I noticed since, and by the way, Bridget also lost her dog recently, and she had an adorable pup that was did many thousands and hundreds of thousands of miles with her in the truck, and we all agree we all love animals. And I remember you didn't even tell me that. I saw that on a post somewhere, and I remember I called you to or sent you a message to wish you all the best. I'm sorry. I grew up in a family with dogs, and I know how important dogs are to a family. So, penny for your thoughts still. Anyways, and guess what? This is how we all learn to love each other, when we support each other when we go through difficult times. And both Chad and myself even, and Chris and Bridget, we've all found that space where we can all support each other and love each other. And that's what we want to bring to the rest of you. And Jesse says, I'm so sorry for your loss, Bridget. So there you go. Lots of love to go around for all of us. And I'll do this again tomorrow. I'm don't know if I have a dispatch tomorrow, but it's the holiday, so I don't know. Whatever. Bridget, you did. I miss him so much. I know. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And look at it. See? Everybody loves dogs. Everybody loves animals. Dogs, cats, everything. So look at all the support you're getting, Bridget. These are all the people who love you and appreciate everything that we've all done. So, time to run. On that note, I got to go, and I love you all. We'll talk to you soon.